Thank you, Chris, and also welcome from my side to today's webinar, where we have a look at 7 tips how you can master your votings in WEDO. I will directly share my screen and explain you how we will present you the function of voting. For today, we've prepared a practical example based on a next meeting of the board, where we already have a meeting series existing. And within this meeting agenda, which is already prepared, we have also prepared 3 brand new topics where we need to vote in advance during or after our meeting. So first of all, we have a look at these 3 topics and create 3 votes, 1 each topic. To create a vote within a meeting, you first need to add a topic to your agenda. In this case here, we've got a customer survey on next webinars where we would like to ask our customers what topics would be interested to them. So for creating a new vote, you just simply click on the plus and select from the block list the vote. It then creates a template to manage your votes. In this case here, we just add the vote, a simple title, and have already set up a standard vote. So first tip is adding the vote with the plus and give it a title. We will now do that for all our 3 topics before we get to the next tip. In this case here, we will talk about a new project, which is paperless. We already have a prepared paragraph where we can see that the goal is in general to reduce the use of paper. And also we create a vote and add a title first, which is about the project approval. Same for the circular vote. A circular vote in general could be done before the meeting if we would need to get and receive advance notice, or you could also create, of course, circular votes after the meeting. For example, if a quorum was not reached during the meeting. We add also a title here, and now have 3 votes created linked to this meeting of the 24th July and attached to each of these 3 separate topics. Now, once you've created a vote and give it a title, we now start and configure our answers. We start off again with the customer survey on webinar and click again in the detail of the vote. Now, we need to make sure that the description is precise and all the voters who have a vote know exactly what it's about and what they vote for. So it's important to give all the relevant information here, either by description or asking precisely what they need to vote about. Now I've added a question to vote on the topics. Beside the description, I can also choose my answers. The standard answer placed by creating a vote are yes and no. Now, in this case here, it's not just about yes and no, it's about topics for a next webinar. So I simply click in the line yes and overwrite it with the answer I'd like to give as a vote option. Same for the second option, and if I have more than 2 options to vote for, I can add also a third, fourth, or fifth one. So whatever you want to add, you may do it right here. You can also select the different colors, of course, of your answers. If you want them, split them in other coloration. So in this case, we place the description and already a vote option, which is already displayed here in our vote. If we have a look at the project approval, here we would like to get the approval for this new project. So we assume that this project will be presented during the meeting and therefore would like to make a vote during the meeting. That's why we also mentioned presented below. We already have a paragraph which shortly describes what the aim is. We will add a vote and probably there will be also some additional files that will be shared during the meeting, so the participants and voters have all the information they need. In this case here, we keep yes and no as an answer option and go directly to our circular vote, which is the third vote created, and add also here a short question about that vote. We would like to raise the budget and increase it for a specific project. So in this case, we asked our voters and board members to either choose yes or no. And we keep both answer options and colors in this case. Now, once you've selected the title, the description, and the answer options, of course, you also need to define who are the voters that are allowed to give a vote. To manage your voters, you have different options. You either can define them over the right and access, or you always have the possibility to go directly in one of your votes detail and choose the menu options and go directly to the vote settings. There you can also manage your voters, as shown here, by access and signatures. So you can now choose whether you want to create a vote which is numerical, so non-personal, or if you want to choose that everyone has to vote themselves. You can also vote on behalf of others, of course, if you are the one who creates the vote. Now, first option, numerical vote, which will consist a collection of all the votes. We'll do with the following example for the customer survey on webinars. Now imagine this vote is to signalize and document the answers given by our customers. We might have done the survey in an external tool or via email or during an event and have asked about 150 clients about their opinion. So if we want just now to add the numbers of answers without mentioning any names or clients, we can simply click on Edit Results. Now we get the three options listed and can add simply the answers that we've collected during that external customer survey. For example, 65 customers have voted for signatures as a next topic for webinars. 48 will be interested in new project function, and 37 will be interested in news about the tasks. Now, when we save that, we see the tendency of the answers within our vote. by just simply adding the results and not managing it with any voters directly. So this is the numeric voting option that you have. For the following two votes we've got, we would like to choose a personal vote. For this, I need to select voters. In this case, for the first one, I use the options of the vote and go to Manage Voters. Now I've got my participants list where I can also select the editor's participants in a row and see and set all my voters in the settings of this vote. If I save, I have now added 7 votees to the vote and see it also in my overview of the vote. Myself and the 6 other board members are among the voters, and we could now add our answers on behalf of others. If we, for example, are in the meeting, we present the topic and then want to decide in group on site all together. If I ask everyone to raise the hand if they say yes to it, so I go also on edit results and just add the answers on behalf of our board members, either yes or no, depending on their opinion. And also with this option, if I vote on behalf of others, I get directly the results and tendencies, but I also see when I get back to edit results that me has voted on behalf of our other members of the board and on which date. So in this case here, I've got a precise overview what the tendency is and who has voted on which date on which behalf. Now the third option is to let the voters vote themselves. In this case, I can open my vote, and if I want to ask our voters to vote themselves, I can simply send out a vote request. I can use the options of the vote and send out a request. Now, this is depending on the rights that I have set during the meeting and within the role. If I, for example, want to add a circular vote before the meeting has started, then of course I need to select the vote options in my access rights and edit the corresponding roles. So if in the preparation phase a vote should also be possible, I need to activate this. Now, as soon as the access rights are set, I can set out the request individually or all together, and all of my votees get a notification in their e-box to vote themselves. Now, let's have a look how that looks like. You have your inbox right on top, and you see already there is a vote pending. In the Votes tab, you have all votes listed where you can add your opinion and vote for. You see a preview of the vote and also the direct link to the corresponding meeting, and the topic name of the agenda is mentioned too. So you could either vote directly for the circular vote here, or click on the link and get to the corresponding topic. Have a look at all the insights and documents shared, and then choose your answer. Now, before we set an answer here, let's have a look how we could allocate the voting shares. When we click again in our vote and manage our voters, we see that we also have the possibility to choose different shares. Now, imagine that Patrick has 2 shares as the director of the board, and Christina as well. Now, these 2 have more shares than the others if there is any decision to take which is not equal. You can set your shares directly over these settings in the vote, as well as seen previously under access and signatures, which has exactly the right view. Now, we have also the possibility to give an option that voters can abstain their answer. I do not need it to add it as a third answer. I just simply click on the option and allow the abstention. We can now see it in our detail here. In this case, if I have updated a vote, for example, by giving any new relevant information or voting options, I could again send out my voters' request. So they got the brand new vote options. If in the meantime somebody has already voted, I can of course also cancel the existing vote and send it again out so everybody can vote again. For our circular vote, we do not only allow the abstention, but we would like also to require a quorum. The quorum you can also set directly in your voting settings. Simply click on the menu of your votes and choose Vote Settings. Now here you've got the option to require the quorum. By activating the option, it will automatically calculate the shares. And these shares, of course, are referred to the ones you've chosen here in the access rights of the meeting. Now the quorum will automatically light up in red flag if any of the participants that have double shares are not in the current meeting. So if we have a look at the participants list, we can see that among our participants, which are signed as present, we've got the quorum reached. As you know, we've set both 2 shares for Patrick and Christina. So if, for example, Patrick is absent and Christina too, then depending on the other participants' part of the meeting, we will not reach the shares. Now we see that if the 3 of them are not present on the meeting, we will not reach our shares needed for a quorum. So in this case, we would need to do the circular vote after our meeting. We can also define whether a meeting shall be public. As we can see it here, we see exactly which of the voters have given her opinion for what option. Or we can define in the vote settings whether the meeting vote shall be anonymous, which means the voters can't see any other opinion of the voters until the result has been shown. As we can see as the third option, we can hide the results in general until the voting has been closed. So in this case, we wouldn't see any votes and opinions of individual voters until the vote has completely ended. As another option, we could also set a due date to our votes. Now imagine and knowing that 24th of July, our next board meeting will take place, we would like to set a due date for these 3 votes before the meeting, of course. In this case, we simply click on our vote settings and choose a due date. For example, 1 week before we would like to have the first answers for our votes. I can also select the time, for example, in the evening, and save it for the whole meeting and votes. Now I have set a due date, which is displayed also below my vote. We have an option for abstention in the circular vote and also defined anonymous vote and display of results once the vote has been finalized. As you can see, the selected options within the vote settings has been activated for all of our votes in this meeting, meaning whenever you add an option in the vote settings, it will automatically update all your votes within the same meeting. Same for the due date. Now, when we have selected the due date and make sure that the participants have enough time to answer, again, I could send out the request for the vote. I could also send individual reminders if some of my voters have already voted and others not. And then, of course, they can vote individually and personally. In this case, if I log out and log in with my colleague's account, Patrick, and go in his inbox, choose the votes, go directly in the meeting or vote on the preview that we see, and select, for example, yes, no, or abstention, and choose the answer. In this case, he has chosen an answer. We connect again with our account, have a look at our meeting, and get to the vote overview. Of course, I do not see the answers now in the display, but me as a vote organizer, if I click in the vote, I can see that already some of my voters have voted. 6 are pending out of 7. So if I check my votes, if I check the results, I can see that Patrick has already voted with the answer no. Now, no sometimes is not enough. I would like to add also a remark why I've chosen no. Maybe there's something missing to decide. So in this case here, I can reset the results to begin new or leave it for the time being and add the option that my voters can request a discussion. With this option, they can add, with the button Request Discussion, their own comments. So maybe there is not enough information provided in this case. or for our project approval, for example, if I can request a discussion here because we do not have enough information in this case, then I can simply add a discussion. To illustrate it in the example of project approval, I quickly change and request a discussion. For example, could we get the detailed budget of this project before we give any approval? Then I can send the request and it will be saved to the vote. When now the voting manager clicks on the vote details, it's also displayed that one vote is pending and what the answers are. Now, if anyone requests a discussion, it will be displayed. And if you hover over, you can see what the comment is. So depending on the comment, in this case here, I choose that I need to redo this vote again because it lacks of information. Maybe some of these voters have had access to the corresponding budget details outside of this meeting, but some might not. So in this case, I could reset all the results for only this vote. Go in my topic and add the needed attachments to the topic. Once done, I can send out the vote again, so my voters have all the information needed to vote on this project budget update. Now, if we want to confirm a result, meaning the project approval, for example, has now been discussed during the meeting. We have all the votes collected. I will quickly add it again on behalf of my users. Imagine everyone has given a yes and confirm the project approval. Then I would like to note down that result. You know that we have the option of creating decision blocks in meetings. If you are used to do so, of course, you can simply click the plus and add a decision. If you use votes, you have a known field decision within your vote. Now, as said, we've discussed and voted everyone for the project approval and can note down that the project has been approved. When the decision has been set, I can confirm my outcome of the vote and definitely mention the result, confirm the outcome, and then the noted decision will be automatically added as a separate meeting block, as you would do it with the plus decision. Now, by using the vote, including the decision, you've got everything in one place. You have all the results noted, you see the tendency of the results, and you've got directly the decision below. If we also choose an answer here, where we've got, we had the customer survey, we can add the result here. Customers would like to know more about the signatures. We confirm the outcome and have it documented both with the answer and the decision. Now, in this case here, I quickly add another comment to display again the discussion. And I choose in the settings that I will not hide my votes anymore. So if any one of my voters has given an answer for the time being, like Patrick, I can see it already. Now I've asked Beatrice to add the updated 𝗫𝗫, as you remember, to do so. And in this case here, if we cannot select any result, we need to postpone our vote until the documents have been provided, and we can definitely vote about it. For my other two votes that have been done and properly documented, I can now share the results. Now, if I share my meeting by PDF export or send out an email to all my participants, I can mention that both the minutes but also the votes have been finalized and the results are visible directly in WEDO in the board meeting of 24th of July. Now, within the last approximate 30 minutes, we've seen that we have a variety of options for votes. There is the option of numeric vote, where I don't choose any voters in my settings. There is the option to do personal votes, where I need to add my voters, but where I also can add shares. Meaning approvals of the minutes are easy to do so if I choose to get them by a vote. I can use votes also for adoption of the agenda, for example, if I would like to vote for a specific agenda item. I can vote for financial reports or get insights of the opinion of my project members if we could approve a project or not. And of course, I can do any kind of surveys like I did for the customer surveys and webinars. So you have the option, answer types as you wish, as well as the colors. And you can do whatever kind of surveys in WEDO directly for each topic. Now, this, of course, are three simple examples, and there are many, many more to try with WEDO votes. And of course, we would also be interested what you think about your meetings and your daily use of WEDO. If you can think of any votes that will be helpful to you and to your team, then we'll be interested to get to know about it. And if you would share your best practices with us too. Now, we slightly get already to the end of this webinar, and we would like to have a look at if there were any questions during the webinar. We would therefore quickly switch to Chris. Chris, are there any questions they would like to share?
For the time being, there is no question, my dear Sabrina.
Okay, perfect. So, as you already know, of course, once there shall be any questions, get directly to help and support and chat with us. You can send us whenever a message, and depending on the length of the answer, we propose you to do a quick online session or either give you your answer by chat. There you will also see a small display of the upcoming webinars. And speaking from, for the time being, That was the last webinar. We do a short summer break in terms of webinars and are already planning the next topics for the webinars. So once the topic has been selected, we will let you know about it and remind you about it here directly in the message portal. Now for the, yes?
Sorry to interrupt you. During the time being, there is a question.
Okay.
The question is, to approve the minutes after the meeting, do I need to add a topic to the agenda? And I will say yes.
Yes, here, for example, I have got an agenda item, minutes of the last meeting. I could do that also for the agenda or whatever topic about, but if I want to approve the minutes of the last meeting, I can either do that on site electronically with the vote, of course, or I just note the decision and say that it has been validated or not. But I need to add it to a specific topic.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, he's answering, but I want to approve the minutes of this meeting, not a past one.
Oh, okay. So in this case here, this is a standard item of the agenda for every meeting in my case. So on 27th of August, I will decide about the minutes of this meeting. If I want directly do that after this meeting and not wait until the next meeting, for example, if I've chosen that after our meeting, when we get into the review stage, for example, me and the director will have a look at the minutes and define whether they are final or not to send out. Then, of course, I could also add a topic, meeting minutes. And for example, also say a meeting minutes approval. And I can now define the access rights per role, for example, who has access in the review phase, who sees what content. So if the review phase, for example, I do not give any access anymore to my participants, but me and Patrick still has access. Now we see the minutes approval, and we now can either create a task, for example, for each other. So if I attach a task and assign it to Patrick that he needs to approve my meeting minutes, I have a feedback directly in the meeting and can finalize them. Or as shown, if I restrict the participants' role for the review phase, then also we too have access and we can prepare and reorganize our agenda or the meeting content until it's finalized. We don't have yet a stage for that, a separate one, but we are currently working on functionalities like the private comment that we have, which goes beyond, so we can tag each other and discuss in private about separate topics or the minutes in general before presenting the result to everyone. So there will be lots of features upcoming in the next month of this year, which will support this process also. Chris, can you think of any other option in this case apart from the tasks or the settings of access?
Actually, you can add vote everywhere and barely when you want, in the before steps of the meeting when you're preparing the agenda, or after. So actually, it's just a matter of which step are your meeting in. So actually, you can prepare a vote to send it for the members during the meeting if you want to validate the meeting minutes right after the meeting. So it's just about internal procedure, I will say.
Yes, absolutely. Any other questions from my participants?
No, it's looked like fine.
Okay, so as mentioned, if there are any in future, just get in touch with us. I've already mentioned that there will be a short summer break and we will display the upcoming webinars once we are ready. But for the time being, you've got already a brand new add-on to discover. We've coded the brand new add-on electronic signatures, where we already have information on our website about the validated and qualified electronic signatures in WEDO, where you can get more insights. But we also have a video on our YouTube channel. And in the news section, you find the short video about electronic signatures. So if you are interested about electronic signatures and you would to get more information about it, you can always book a demo with us or ask your questions in the support chat. And of course, we will support you with any of those. Now, we get to the end of our webinar. So I thank you very much for your participation today and your interest in votes. And I will be happy to welcome you for our next webinar too, or to answer you any questions about the electronic signatures.